I said it before in my previous video, and I'm going to say it again. I'm not excusing Maryjane Byrum. If she's done something wrong, she needs to fix it. Now, the new information has come to light about this whole entire scenario about her allegedly scamming people and allegedly stealing money from her supporters. Now, like I said in my previous video, it is not 100% true to say that nobody had ever gone on these trips with her and that nobody had ever gone to the meet and greets. What it does seem to be is that Maryjane was not producing the trips that she was advertising. That is extremely unfortunate. Now, allegedly, with this new information that has come out, Maryjane did select people to come on the trips with her. She did take their payment and they did go on the trips with her. But the trips that she was producing are not what she was advertising. Many of those who went on the trips with her have reported that they were responsible for basically footing the bill most of the time with Maryjane. Allegedly, those who went on these trips with her that were offered through her travel packages were responsible for footing the bill most of the time when out with her. Now, as someone who still considers herself to be a avid watcher of Maryjane Byram's content, looking back at her content, it is unfortunate to think that the people who were in those videos who were going on the trips with her were having to pay for everything when that absolutely is not what Maryjane had put out and advertised. You know, she did not advertise that these trips were going to be ones where you had to pay for honestly anything more than your ticket there and your ticket back. And I think your room. Outside of that, she was stating that she would cover everything, that she was pretty much giving you an all exclusive, very personalized trip. Basically, Maryjane was selling you a travel package that would give you the Maryjane Byrum experience, travel the world like Maryjane. And what it appears to be now, allegedly, is that people who did go on these trips with her were responsible for pretty much all of the finances and had to fend for themselves. Now, I want to talk about what I really feel is the real issue here when it comes to Maryjane. The real issue, beyond the fact that she allegedly stole funds and that she allegedly was scamming people with these trips and wasn't returning funds to people in a timely manner when people either could not go on the trips or when they felt that they were dissatisfied that she did not produce a trip that she had advertised. Beyond all of that, I think the real issue here is that unfortunately, we are putting a lot of stock in people who we haven't done enough research of for ourselves. The thing about Maryjane is that Maryjane is not a licensed travel agent. She's not an accredited travel agent. She doesn't have a travel agency. I do feel like Maryjane had a huge market that she really could have profited off of very well and in a better way. Again, like I said in my previous video, if there had been some proper planning. I absolutely think that Maryjane could have offered travel packages that could have resulted in her having a full travel program. If you're not familiar with Travel Noir, Google them. They're really awesome. I think Maryjane could have done something along those lines or even partnered with them. With such a big audience, with such a huge reach, right? Pulling in the numbers that she does, I absolutely believe that she could have gone to a travel agency like Travel Noir and been like, hey, I want to host a trip, how can we get that done? How can I get my audience involved? How do we do that? I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Evelyn from the internet, but she hosted a travel trip through a independent travel agency, right? If you're not familiar with One Love Travel Club, please get very familiar with them. One Love Travel Club with Evelyn from the internet in 2016 hosted a trip to Thailand. So here is how you use your internet stardom. Here's how you use your prestige in that way. Here's how you actually, if you want to use this kind of language, profit off of the trust that you've built with your audience. You plan a trip through another travel agency and you have them make you the host and you can profit that way. Now I was like in high school at the time, so I couldn't go on the trip with Evelyn, but it was amazing. And then she partnered with another YouTuber, Julesy. So Evelyn and Julesy hosted a trip to Thailand with One Love Travel Club, right? They didn't take it upon themselves to plan the trip and collect the money and book the flights, because that's a lot of work for one person. And I talked about that in my previous video. That's why I said, honestly, although allegedly Maryjane has done wrong, it's very clear that she needs help. It's very clear that she needs assistance. It's very clear that the management is not doing it for her. I'm not sure if she has a management team or if she's represented by anybody, but if she is, clearly they did not support her in her efforts of trying to host these getaways with her, right? But, all is not lost. All is not lost. I believe that I'm going to say when, because she needs to. If she's done all of the things that is alleged and the accusations, she needs to fix it. So when she fixes everything, I really think something that would be very wise for her to do would to be looking into partnering with someone like a One Love Travel Club or Travel Noir or even a Gateway Trips or any of these third-party independent travel agencies, many of which are Black owned, right? To throw that in there to help her plan these trips, because she has the experience. She's traveled across the world. She's built the audience. And as we all know, this is how the internet works, right? The internet is fickle. Just because people are ousting her now, and mind you, a lot of people are ousting her now, everyone is not going to abandon her. Everyone is not going to leave her side. Everyone is not going to say Maryjane Byrum is just, whatever. People are not going to say that. Everyone is not going to bash her. Everyone's not going to buy into the stories. Everyone is not going to buy into the allegations. Everyone's not going to buy into the accusations. Even if they are all proven to be true, her entire audience is not going to leave her. That is the nature of the internet. Even right now, everyone putting their energy into it, even myself putting my energy into it, we are boosting Maryjane. So no matter what, she's going to continue to generate revenue, profit, and have an audience. So my suggestion and my recommendation would be that once she gets all of this worked out and fixed, she looks into working with One Love Travel Club or Travel Noir, Gateways Trips, EF College Break, any of those things. They all have partnered with influencers to host these trips. And then that would be an easy way for her to just kind of just show up and be Maryjane and be herself and be the face of this trip and also make her money. Because the real problem I feel, y'all, is that we are just putting way too much stock into people we are not putting enough research in. I'll be honest. When Maryjane first announced these travel packages, I was going to jump on it. I was going to do it. I had my money right. I was I want to do it. I want to do 2 or 3 of these trips with her. Because seeing her travel and seeing the way that she traveled, I said, I really would like to be introduced to traveling in that way. I'm very well traveled. I've gone plenty of places, but I've never done it in the way that she has. Usually when I'm traveling, it was to expand my studies. It was for school. It was for research. It was for other things. And I just wanted to see, a different way of traveling. But for me, just personally for me, something, was just telling me you know what? I don't know though. I don't really know. And she wasn't posting things like an itinerary. It wasn't structured in a way to where I felt comfortable enough with sending her $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 to go on these trips, right? Hosted by her. So I didn't do it. I backed out. I even inquired. I asked the questions. I did all the things, but I was just yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think this is the thing for me to do. So I didn't do it. And now with all this new information coming out, yeah, it is very, very upsetting. It is very, very frustrating because, of course, we trusted her. You know, of course we trusted her. That's the thing about the internet and parasocial relationships, right? When someone is an influencer, when someone is living a lifestyle that you yourself are not even used to, you want to take part in it, right? You want to be a part of it as well. And people do the things that they think can help them be a part of it. And with Maryjane, that meant people were giving her money, right? And we're hoping that they would go on these really grand and beautiful and luxe trips with her. And unfortunately, that's not what happened. So what I think can help resolve this whole situation is honestly Maryjane just doing right. Like literally just doing right, doing what needs to be done to resolve everything. And then in the future, if she's really thinking about trying to do something like this again, although in a previous video, actually her most recent upload, she stated one of her most recent uploads, why she's no longer a solo traveler, she did state she'll no longer be traveling people she doesn't know, and that she's actually hired people to come help her travel because she just felt like that would be a better option for her. And you know what? I think it would be. I mean, she did mention, she's not getting the footage that she needs. And it does sound like from the people who have gone on trips with her that when they arrived, they pretty much they felt like hired help. And they were all like, that's not what we agreed to do here. That's not what we paid to do. All in all, like I said in my previous video, it's just a very unfortunate situation. And I do hope that it resolves itself pretty quickly, because I really feel that Maryjane Byrum, once correcting any and all wrongdoings with all who were involved with this travel, she can really flourish. She can really flourish, right? In the travel world, in the travel vlogger world. But she has to have the proper planning. She definitely has to work with a third-party agency, She has to do what needs to be done to correct everything and take herself to the next level. Because here's another thing too. YouTube is, it's not sustainable in the sense of YouTube will get you to where you want to go. But in order to keep yourself there, you're going to have to grow and you're going to have to evolve. And in order to do that, you have to step outside of what you're doing and take it to another level. And I do believe that that's what Maryjane was trying to do with these packages. I believe she was trying to step outside of just producing the content on YouTube and take herself to another level by kind of being this, travel agent extraordinaire in the sense in hosting these trips. Again, there was just a lack of planning, a lack of proper follow through. And like I said for myself, I was going to do it. I was going to pay the money to do it. But because I was not seeing itineraries posted, because it wasn't presented in a way that was making me feel comfortable, I just didn't do it. I didn't jump on the opportunity immediately because I said, well, she's not posting itineraries. I really don't see a flight schedule. She wasn't saying where you would be staying and what you would be doing and how you would be doing it. It was just kind of like the way it was presented to me, and even asking my own questions and inquiring about the trip and just not getting the answers I really wanted. Yeah, I just said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because I wasn't getting enough information. Like I said, I'm well traveled. I'm very well traveled. So, you know what to ask and you know what to seek out when someone says they're offering a travel package or a plan or a trip. And unfortunately, the real issue here is that people did not do enough of their own research, and we kind of, in a sense, walked into a mess. We walked into a mess, and it's unfortunate. But that's why in my previous video, I said we have to extend grace. I know, listen, everyone who was directly involved, and y'all, like I said, I was 1 inch, millimeter. I was so close to basically being somebody who would have been directly involved in this, but something told me not to do it. My first mind, which is your gut, your belly, was like, I don't agree. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm doing flips. So I didn't do it. because I wasn't getting the answers that I needed. People didn't do enough research, walk into a mess, and it's unfortunate. But the reason why we have to extend grace is because at the end of the day, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Whatever is going to come to light is going to come to light. But the one thing that YouTube has shown us to be true is unless YouTube deplatforms you, you can continue to profit, you can continue to grow. And if you are allegedly doing inappropriate things and wrongdoings, it can still be your meal ticket. And so for Maryjane, I think she has a great opportunity here to really propel herself into, kind of like this like travel planner extraordinaire type thing, but it has to be done correctly. But I believe that that's what's going to sustain her, because, you can travel and fly around the world and show the hotels and show the villas and show the apartments you stay in and like show the food and everything. But, one, that's not something people want to do all the time. Two, that can get tiring and taxing. And three, it's just one thing, right? Everyone's always talking about multiple streams of income. So I also believe that she was trying to generate another stream of income for herself, and she just did not go about it in the proper way. And that's why I'm calling for grace. Because I'm telling y'all, I know how easy it is to want to like come in and bully. And I really feel like the people who should have the harshest critique of all are those who were directly involved. And for the rest of us who are truly bystanders, who are just sitting on the outside looking in, we need to just nod our heads, take notes, and ask ourselves, well, why am I also sitting here listening to a video discussing her and this situation? Am I sitting here because I just want to learn about it, and because I just want to give a genuine critique, and because I also want to, I want to learn the signs so, I don't fall into something like that myself as either a participant or as the person doing it, right? Or am I here because I want to also emote and put out this energy of bashing and negativity and bullying? You have to ask yourself that. Like I said in my previous video, I am not absolving Maryjane of any wrongdoings. If she did wrong, she has to correct it. The reason why my initial video has the tone that it does is because, first of all, I was somebody that was almost involved in this whole entire thing. I just made the conscious choice to not get involved, because when I asked questions about the trip, when I asked questions about itinerary, flight plans, and all of that, I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted to receive. And I didn't see her posting it. So I was like, all right, if she's not answering the questions and she's not posting it, that must mean this trip or these trips, so to speak, are not being planned in a way that I feel comfortable with. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to send the deposit. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to do it. And I didn't do it. But people did. And so I feel like if you are not directly involved with the situation, all you should really be doing, and this is me in my opinion, you don't have to agree, but all you should really be doing is taking notes so you can learn the signs, so you don't end up in the situation either as the one doing it to people or as a participant in it, right? And you need to just be a bystander. You need to just be listening. But y'all, please don't bully. I'm telling you, like, there's no solution comes from trying to bash her, like tear her down, do nothing. Like, what is that doing? Like, how does that solve the situation? Anybody who she allegedly has taken money from and hasn't paid them back, I hope that she does. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. She very well may not have the money right now to do that. None of us know her personal financial situation. None of us, even those who went on the trip with her. Like, they stated that they had to pretty much bankroll everything and like pay for everything. That could have been because she really didn't have the money, but it also could have been because maybe she just didn't want to spend her money. You know, people do things like that. But the fact of the matter is, none of us have access to her bank account. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of us have access to her bank account. Can't nobody see her bank statements. Like, none of us know what's actually sitting in her pockets and how she's really moving financially. So the thing is, I'm going to extend grace. I am going to extend grace to her. I am, because I really want her to come out of this renewed. I don't want her to come out of this feeling like she was torn down. I also don't want anybody who was directly involved to feel like they were torn down, because throwing hate at them, trying to say that they should not be telling their stories and their experiences is wrong as well. You know, if people feel like they have experienced a wrongdoing and people feel like they have been slighted, they have every right to speak up about that. They do. But here's the thing. Like I was saying before, if Maryjane doesn't have the money right now to pay them back, she doesn't have it. But that doesn't mean she can't figure out a solution. It doesn't mean she can't offer them other things. She has this huge platform. You feel what I'm saying? So she can leverage that. But once again, none of us really know what and how she's going to work to resolve this, or if she even will. And also at the end of the day, everything is still allegations and accusations, right? I don't want to see this have to go like to a court or get super legal. I really do believe that she can work it out in-house with all of the young women who were involved. And I think the rest of us from the outside looking in should be extending grace. I really do. I think it's in everyone's best interest to be extending grace to her.